On today's episode of the Cryptoverse. What if Texas protects the right to use Bitcoin by writing it into the state constitution? Well, according to Texas House Joint Resolution 89, this is actually a possibility. Hardware wallets are the only way to truly store your cryptocurrency securely. Ledger provide a range of devices to suit all budgets and preferences. Check out my review of the Ledger Nano S by clicking on the link in the video description below. Hi there guys, and welcome to the latest episode of the Cryptoverse, your regular dose of news and commentary on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchains. I am your host, Chris Coney. Today is the 8th of March 2017. Let's get into a couple of announcements before we do the market roundup and all the normal segments. Announcement number one today is that the movie Bitcoin, the End of Money as We Know It is now available on cryptoversity.com. I've done a distribution deal with Torsten Hoffman here, the director and producer of the movie, and I'm now allowed to distribute it through Cryptoversity as an official distributor. And as you can see here, you can buy it with the credit card for just $10, or you can pay with Bitcoin. The only problem with that is that at the moment, because the Bitcoin network is so congested, you have to wait on the checkout screen until the transaction confirms in order for the access to be unlocked. And so far, everyone that's done that is actually timed out because the transaction just didn't confirm within the 10-minute window. So just be aware of that. If the network is busy, then you'll have to forego paying with Bitcoin and just pay with a credit card because there's nothing I can do about that. But if you found it difficult to explain to friends, families, colleagues how Bitcoin works, why it's important and why it matters, why they should learn about it, this is the single best place to start. This is one of my favorite Bitcoin documentaries of all of them. It's just like 59 minutes long, I think, and it's got lots of animations in it, tells the story of money, the history of money. It's brilliant. So either get it yourself or recommend it to a friend, and let's boost cryptocurrency adoption. Second announcement today is that Bitcoin Core 0.14 is now released with a whole bunch of improvements. They're quite technical improvements, but one of the big ones from my point of view is that, most people don't run Bitcoin Core full node because you have to download the whole blockchain, which is like 100 gigabytes now. Well, one of the things that they've done in this release is not necessarily add new features, but they've managed to they've invested the time to rewrite a lot of the code so that it's optimized. So for example, actually says here, he improved initial block download performance. The amount of time it takes to do that first download of the entire blockchain, it's now much quicker because of all the efficiencies that they've rebuilt into the software. You can also do things like replace by fee. So if you've got a Bitcoin transaction that's taking a long time to confirm, you can actually rebroadcast that transaction with a higher fee and then skip the line and get it confirmed quicker. Now, of course, we'd rather not do that. We'd rather have just the first transaction confirmed with a reasonable fee. But given the climate that we're in, replace by fee is there as an option for people who have a very urgent transaction and didn't include a high enough fee. So I'll put a link to these release notes in the sources as always, so you can download Bitcoin Core 0.14 and check it out for yourself. Also bear in mind the fact that it is version 0.14, and the fact that it starts with a 0 means it's still experimental software. Until we get to version 1.0, it's not actually an official full release of the software. And despite that fact, over $20 billion is running on this software, which is kind of a testament to the demand for such a digital currency as Bitcoin. Now on to the market roundup. It's a sad day when I have to declare that Ripple is in fact the biggest winner of the day, up by 6.87%. I speak ill of Ripple, but I could have actually benefited from it recently because 2 bank payments that I'm due to receive from an exchange, they sent them to me at the beginning of February, and they still haven't arrived at my bank. That's like 4 weeks. So I'm now in the process of tracking them down. In a Ripple-enabled banking system, there would be like a FedEx-style tracking service that would be able to identify exactly where the transaction was in the process, which financial institution had custody of those funds, so that then we could figure out where it went wrong and then get them to me. In fact, in a Ripple-enabled banking system, it probably would be a damn sight quicker than 4 weeks as well. So I might bag on Ripple, but there are some benefits to that. In any case, a Ripple token is now worth 0.006 cents. But again, the supply of Ripple is flexible, so that doesn't really mean a lot. It's not the biggest loser of the day, but Monero is on sale by the looks of things, down 5.56%. It was hovering around that $15 mark for a while per coin, and it's now $13.66, and still holding steady as the 5th most capitalized coin. And Monero being a privacy-focused currency, it's Dash's biggest competitor to be the champion of those private currencies, so I like to watch those two very closely. Now, the official biggest loser is right down here in 17th place, and that award goes to Waves since it's down 11.58% today. Waves has a fixed supply of 100 million coins, so that's more meaningful when we look at the price movements. And Waves tokens are now going for about 20 cents each, and the Waves platform itself is going to allow you to create your own tokens, your custom tokens on a blockchain that you can use for any number of things, maybe even your own digital currency. On to BitcoinWisdom.com to look at the candlestick chart then, and the Bitcoin price movements in US dollars. Now this is more like it. That's probably not what you want to hear if you are in a mild panic about the Bitcoin price going down, but this is the pullback that I was looking for, and actually I was expecting if you look at the recent episodes of the Cryptoverse. Now I kept saying that the price looked overextended and I wanted to see a phase 2 pullback, which this qualifies as. I constantly bang on about cyclicity in pricing, and you can see it here, it's pretty obvious. Like if I start here and I go price up, price down, price up, price down, price up, price down. So price up is phase 1 and price down is phase 2. So it's like the market breathing, like breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So just like a human being, you couldn't infinitely breathe in, this was a massive gasp of air in, like, and I was like, well, when's it going to breathe out? Like, there we go. There it was. That's what I was looking for right there. So that's a healthy cycle right there. And it's not a huge surprise that it pulled back to this level here, which is the top of the Fibonacci retracement lines that I was looking at, all the way up to that big rally we had there in the big run up to 1163. In fact, today's low, if we have a look at this candle right here, is 1160 dead. Now that coincides with the previous all-time high from back in November of 2013, which I'll show you on the weekly chart right here. You see back here, the 100% retracement line, 1163. That was the vast majority of my analysis for the last few months. Now, if we skip back to the daily chart here, despite these two red candles being red, I still rated this as an upward pressure because those two candles have long tails, meaning those sell-offs very quickly recovered. And this is perhaps where looking at the order book gives you a greater insight, because you can see how much money is waiting on either side of the order book. And that would require a different view to this. I mean, there is an order book here, but it's not the same as having a buy and a sell wall to look at. But maybe I'll get into that in the actual trading course that I'm going to be putting together. Now time for the SegWit forecast then. And no sooner had I said yesterday about Litecoin not having a down day in terms of support, today we have a down day. We've lost 0.5% in miner support for segregated witness on the Litecoin network. It's currently sitting at 21.62% on its way to 75%. Now that down move has pushed the projected activation date back to the 19th of June, but that's still well within the deadline. So it looks like Litecoin is going to activate SegWit still, and we'll keep an eye on it. Now, while Bitcoin is still stuck around the 25-26% mark, in fact, it's 26.1% today. That's up 0.2%, but that's nothing to write home about. The other thing I'm going to start tracking now is Bitcoin Unlimited, because it's gaining more and more support as we go. Bitcoin Unlimited support is sitting at 23.7% right now. So the difference with Bitcoin Unlimited is it doesn't have a hard deadline. It doesn't have a hard activation date either. Once enough Bitcoin Unlimited support is gathered, then it can be triggered, and then the attempt to activate it can be made. But of course, if they do that now, if they say, right guys, let's start trying to fork the network with only 23.7% of the mining power, well, that would be seen as an attack, quote, on the network, because it's a minority attacking the majority. So once they get above 50, 51, 55%, they technically have enough mining power to force the implementation of Bitcoin Unlimited. So we'll that's why I want to keep an eye on it to see what the higher the mining power support gets on Bitcoin Unlimited, the higher the probability of such a forced fork succeeding exists. So I'll comment on more of this as we go, but I'm going to start tracking these numbers now to see how the support is gaining over time. In terms of the news then, I've turned to bitcoin.com. I'm back here with Jamie Redman as the author of this article, and it's entitled Texas Lawmaker: No Government Shall Prohibit Bitcoin. Now check my logic here. America was founded on the principles of liberty, right? You'd agree with that? The anthem even says, "Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free," right? That's free. Free association, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of movement within the United States of America, etc. So it stands to reason that freedom of finance is a complete no-brainer for such a country. I'd even argue that spending money is covered by freedom of expression, since what else are we doing when we exchange money for something except expressing our preferences? On top of that, America was founded as a republic, so no monarchy to rule over the people, just a constitution, a founding document that set the moral principles of the land that would govern even the government itself. Now, I guess that's the power of the Constitution. It's like a mini god that transcends everything, including the power of the government. And Bitcoin seems similar to me in the sense that it has a financial constitution called the Bitcoin Protocol. In America, you abide by the Constitution or you leave. In Bitcoin, you abide by the protocol or you leave. Complete freedom through voluntary action. So having said that, that's my frame, that's my understanding of how I see this whole thing. Let's see what the article's got to say for itself. It says on the 2nd of March, State Representative Matt Schaefer submitted a proposal to revise the state's constitution to say that virtual currencies like Bitcoin are mediums of exchange and that, quote, no government shall prohibit, close quote. Now, given my opening remarks, I would think that if the founding fathers had conceived of Bitcoin, they would have made provisions for it and its protection in the Constitution. But hey, you can't think of everything when you're putting one of these together, so we'll let them off. It then goes on to say here, the Texas lawmaker wants it to be known that the use of digital currencies is a citizen's fundamental right. Now, this is probably a foregone conclusion, but let me know in the comments below. Do you believe that the use of digital currencies is a citizen's fundamental right? And also share with me why, because that's really what I'm most interested in. My answer to this, of course, is yes, for the reasons I gave at the beginning. I believe that the way we use money is a form of self-expression, and I believe everyone has the right to express themselves freely as long as they do not violate the non-aggression principle. So that's my take on it. It then says that Texas House Joint Resolution number 89 proposes to change Article 1 of the state's constitution. And it states, quote, Article 1, Texas Constitution, is amended by adding the right of the people to own, hold, and use a mutually agreed upon medium of exchange, including cash, coins, bullion, digital currency, or scrip, when trading and contracting for goods and services shall not be infringed on. No government shall prohibit or encumber the ownership or holding of any form or amount of money or other currency, close quote. Now, I like the word encumber. It says the government shall not encumber the ownership or holding of digital currency. Now, I translate that to basically mean, the government shall not get in the way, which would keep a very short leash on regulation. It then goes on to say down here that Texas is the home to digital currency companies such as Factom, Stash Incorporated, CoinVault, tech endeavors, and their radio broadcast, The Crypto Show. So this is like a big advert for people like me. If I see an environment that creates incentives for people like me, the chances of me moving my economic activity to that place increase dramatically. Countries and states have to compete just like businesses do. They want jobs and they want the tax revenue. So they have to seduce the types of businesses that they want to move to their locality. And Texas is buttering me up right now, let me tell you. Moving on to the blue bit. It says, the Crypto Show adds, quote, the recent news of adding Bitcoin to a constitutional amendment in Texas is somewhat encouraging, but I don't recall ever asking permission from anyone to use Bitcoin, close quote. I personally think that attitude is a little short-sighted and a little ignorant. I would say it's unwise to get faked out by a seemingly hands-off approach, because in the blink of an eye, that snake could decide to lash out and bite you. And since prevention is always better than cure, I would much prefer to get a jump on things and get this constitutional amendment approved so that when the enemy decides to move, all their pieces are already blocked on the chessboard. And then the article ends by saying this proposed amendment will be submitted to voters in November of 2017. And I hope by some stroke of fortune, this episode of the Cryptoverse reaches many, many Texas residents and may just make it that little more likely to pass. So thanks for joining me today, guys. If you liked this episode, hit the like button. If you disliked it, hit the dislike button. Please leave me a comment below with some feedback and get subscribed. And please support the Cryptoverse and boost cryptocurrency adoption by going to cryptoversity.com/podcast and becoming a patron. From just a few dollars a month, you can secure Cryptoversity's future, get unlimited access to all Cryptoversity courses, and access a private patrons-only chat group where you get direct access to me. That is all for today, guys. I will be back tomorrow with another episode of the Cryptoverse. So until then, it's me, Chris Coney, saying bye for now.